Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Woodpeckers Deep Dive. My name's Jeff Ferris. Welcome to my shop. Today, we are going to take a closer look at Woodpeckers stainless steel precision squares. Before we get started, I'd like to ask you to hit the subscription button and the notification bell. That way you'll know about every one of our great videos right when they come out. And if you like what you see today, be sure and give us a thumbs up. Okay, let's get started. So our precision stainless steel squares come in 4 sizes: 6, 12, 18, and 26. To talk about the features that are common to all of them, let's use the 12-inch. So like all Woodpeckers fixed blade squares, the key to this tool is the fact that the central core is one solid piece of steel. That central core allows us to make the square to a very, very tight tolerance. And then the beam of the square is formed by cheeks that are added onto that. This makes for a very, very accurate square. We maintain a tolerance on this of 0.0085 degrees. In this 12-inch square, that's less than 1/1000th of an inch at the far end of the blade. Now the cheeks that we add to create the beam of the square are narrower than the blade of the square. That creates a shoulder right here, and so the square always sits by itself. You don't have to hang on to it when you're on the edge of your stock. Now let's compare this to a traditional square. We take a framing square and we put it on our stock. To actually reference the edge, we have to come off the edge, drop it down, and bring it up to the wood. So that lifts the edge of the square off the material. That makes it very difficult to use the graduations on the rule, and as you're trying to mark, it's really easy to slip under the edge. Now let's take a look at using one of the larger squares for the same thing. When we drop our shoulder on, the blade is completely flat. The blade's very thin, so our graduations are right down on top of the stock and eliminating parallax viewing error. The blade is also dead flat on the material, so marking is very precise. Now the biggest difference between our stainless steel squares and our red aluminum squares is the series of scribing guides that are machined into the blades. Now we have that feature in lots of our other tools, like the saddle squares and the pocket tees. But on these tools, the scribing guides are holes. They work great with a mechanical pencil, but they don't work so well with anything else. The scribing guides on the stainless steel squares are different though. Instead of using holes that are just the right size for the tip of a mechanical pencil, these have a sawtooth pattern in them that gives you a lot more freedom on the marking tool that you use. Of course, as you would expect, it works great with a mechanical pencil. But it'll also work with a flat carpenter's pencil. A standard wooden pencil. A Sharpie, an ink pen. Any marking tool you want to use will work with the sawtooth scribing guides. So with 4 different sizes in our stainless steel squares, how do you decide which one is right for you? Well, the obvious answer is all 4 of them. But if that's not in the cards, let's take a look at how I would equip my shop. The thin blade of the steel squares being right down on top of the material makes these ideal for layout work. The thicker blade of our aluminum squares is ideal for things like setting up an MFT table or assembly checks on your finished pieces of furniture. If I had to narrow the list down, I'd always start with the aluminum 2616. This is my go-to reference for everything to see if it's square. But I do love the layout features of the steel squares, So I have an 1812, the mid-size steel square, in my shop as well. In the smaller squares, I love this little steel 6-inch. It's just ideal for a lot of smaller, tight layout work like dovetails. And of course, the most popular woodpecker square of all times, the 1281 aluminum, kind of rounds out my personal set. Hey folks, I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Woodpecker's stainless steel precision squares. If you enjoyed the show today, be sure and hit the subscription button and the notification bell. That way you'll know about every one of our great videos right when they come out. And if you liked what you saw today, give us a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching today. We'll see you next time on Deep Dive.